In this video, I'm going to show you Timecards. It's pretty simple to install. You click the plus sign, add an application, and click on Timecards, and it appears as a tab. There's only 3 buttons inside of Timecards. They're up here. There's Learn, People, and Timecards. If you click on the Learn tab, a brief description of what it's all about, and basic usage and how to actually set it up. If you want to get a hold of me, click on the support tab, and here's my email address. Send me an email with some ideas as to how you think Timecards should work. To get started, there's a people database, and there's one person in the database, and that's you. You can create multiple people. These are your customers, or anybody you want to send a time card to. You just click on the create button and it'll create new entries for people for you. Each person has a details button where you can put their email address, their street address, their billing rate. So these are things that are captured inside of the people's database. Under time cards, well, there aren't any time cards right now because this is a brand new install. I think the best place to get started with Timecards is to create a new person. And you can add a company name. And then the person's name. You put in their phone number. Also, you can add information. Now also you can send a time card to multiple people by just separating the email addresses by a comma. Let's create our first time card. You just click on the create button and it generates a brand new time card. At this point you can view it, edit it, and there's actual notes associated with this time card. I'm going to edit it. And this is my first time card. There's different statuses. I can send it out as an invoice once I'm done working on it, and then when they've paid me, I change the time card to a paid status. These are your terms and conditions, so when it's an invoice, basically this is when they should pay you back. It's due at the end of the week, and this is the date that I've emailed it so that I know that I've emailed my client an invoice. First thing that I normally do is pick a customer. So here you just type in your customer's name and pick it from the list. And if you don't like what the customer's name looks like, you can always go back to people, update the details, and I'm going to take out the second email address. I'm also going to put in a billing rate. I charge Doug $125 an hour, and I'll put in a street address for Doug. Now when I click on time cards and edit, notice how the information is updated. This time card has a billing period from basically today till the following week, or the Friday of the next week. When I add an item, and this is basically what I'm billing towards, it puts in the current date. I enter in the project that I'm working on. In this case, we'll just say I'm working on time cards, and a description. And how many hours it took me to make this video. Now I can list it. I have one time card. I can view it. And I can edit it and change it to 3 hours. And also what I can do is I can get a daily report for this week and all the activities that I've worked on this week. So we've created a time card. Next week, this one will have expired, and I'll start another time card for Doug Gaylord. Okay, so let's pretend that it's Monday morning and you want to submit last week's invoices to your customers. It's pretty straightforward. You can just edit the time card. I change its status to an invoice, and I change the terms. That's pretty much it. I want to view it first to make sure that everything's okay, and then I click email and I send the email. That's it. If you take a look at the listing, you'll notice that now the date that it was emailed has been registered. Also, a note indicating that it was sent not only in the time card database, but also in the actual person. It logs that an email was sent to that person for an email. So we've sent an email out to one of our customers, and it would be a good idea if we kind of tracked it and understood what was going on with that email. So if we go back to time cards, and we can check an aging report. And what this does is it looks at all time cards that have an invoice status, and it tells you by customer how many invoices or time cards there are, and will run a total for that particular customer. And that way they always understand the balance due that they owe you. If you want to send them out a reminder, it's pretty easy. You just click on email, says account standing. It also looks official, like there's somebody, an accountant here that's really going to beat down the doors looking for your money. You can just send it and off it goes. So there really isn't that much to sending out an aging report to your customers, reminding them what the balances are. So one of the last things that you want to do is clear the fact that all these people owe you money. When they start sending checks in, you need to clear out of the aging report the fact that they owe you money. You don't want to keep asking people for money, especially after they've paid you. So that's fairly simple to do. All you really need to do is just go into the time card, and once again you can just change its status to paid, and basically that's it. The other thing that I do is in the notes I'll basically say paid with check number 1234. And that way I just kind of have a balance as to what's going on. Another important thing that happens, and I don't quite understand it, because accounting's just adding and subtracting. I mean, how can you mess that up? But it does. It happens a lot. And if for some instance they didn't pay you the proper amount, you can put in a partial payment. So let's say that they paid $150 on this particular invoice. Well, what ends up happening on the aging report is that it will come back and it'll show you on the aging report, it basically will show a partial payment, and it does keep track. You want to keep your numbers pure, and you want to keep them true. So there are mechanisms in here to handle partial payments, and trying to keep your books in order, and try to explain to the customer what's going on with the amount of money that they owe you. I wrote time cards 8 years ago when I started my consulting business. I did so because I don't like doing time cards, and just like everybody else. The problem is, if I don't do time cards, I don't make money. So if you're going to be a contractor, you got to come up with an automated approach to handling the time cards and invoicing. So I spend less than 5 minutes a week on keeping track of what I do and the invoices that I send out to customers. It's been working for 8 years. I wouldn't do it any other way. I understand that Timecards isn't really set up for many engineering organizations, and it wouldn't take much to change it so that as a manager, I can view everybody's time cards and kind of get an understanding of how the projects are going. And I think that's what Rev 2 of time cards will do. It'll be more for an engineering department. If you have any ideas, once again, click on Learn, Support, and send me an email. Email is probably the fastest way to get a hold of me. And I really do want to discuss, where time cards could go and how it could help your engineering department. And if you're going to run a business, if you're going to run an engineering department, you got to run an engineering department with the numbers. You got to know what's going on. Otherwise, it gets really expensive and you don't get anything done. So enjoy. I hope that it helps you out.